I'm here today because I'm sick and tired of the extortion that's going on in our country. We are being put into debt far and beyond we'll ever have means to pay for it, for things that are totally unrelated to what ought to be spent by the federal government. People call this tax day, I call it extortion day. Don't tread on me.
I say all you have to do is read history.
School Safety Patrol, I made a promise to uphold the Constitution and the state here, and I took it to my heart.
Hey, what I'd like to see is a lot of these politicians out of office. And another thing I'd like to see is do away with the income tax. I don't like it. I don't think we should have bailed them out. I think the free market should dictate who survives and who doesn't.
Our freedoms are being stifled. I forget what news site it was, but that this was because, that we were right-wingers, crazy right-wingers out here, and that this had to do with the fact that we have a black president. Well, I would vote for anyone, no matter what color their skin, as long as they had the values and the morals that I did, and we don't have that with this left-wing socialist administration that was voted in. So we're here to protest for our rights.
I've had a business here for 20 long years, and I've struggled up and down as a clear. And here's what I have found. Nobody bailed me out when I got in trouble. It made me get out of it. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm protecting my rights as a citizen. I don't consider myself a terrorist. I don't consider myself an American citizen.
I got a question.
My question is why our leader, who is the most powerful man in the in the world, running the most powerful country in the world, would bow down to another dignitary. To me, that shows weakness, and I don't like it.
I believe as Americans we've been rocked to sleep by incremental increases in deficit spending in this country. And we have justified it. We have justified it by looking at national security as the reason for it.
That's right.
Last fall, this country entered uncharted territory when the Bush administration and Congress pushed upon us a $750 billion bailout package that many Americans were very strongly opposed to. And I dare say most of you all wish that bailout would have never happened. Is that right?
That's right! That's right!
While we may have been rocked to sleep over the last several years with the gradual increases in deficit spending, I believe we could also say, and would you agree with me here, we have now been rocked by the reality of unprecedented spending over the last several months. We're here to say no to a government that believes it has the right to dominate lives. Government is not the answer. I've had a couple of people that have asked me, why now? Why are we protesting now? Why weren't you protesting over the last 8 years? This is just a partisan thing, isn't it? No, it's not a partisan thing.
We talked to our representatives and they got voted out.
It's not a partisan. Let me share with you.
Enough is enough.
Now we protest, they wouldn't listen.
Absolutely, and now that protest has grown. We're protesting today a $750 billion bailout package last fall under the former administration. We're protesting today a $787 billion stimulus package that was signed without anybody reading it.
Taxation without representation!
We're protesting a pork-filled earmarked spending $3.5 trillion 2010 budget that includes a $600 billion plus down payment for national health care. You're protesting an $11.15 trillion national debt. We've been told that there'll be no tax increases for anybody making less than $250,000 a year, but we're looking at a cap-and-trade proposal that will, according to reports, cost every American family up to $3,100 a year in additional energy costs.
Fannie Mae rushed to make everybody get in a house which they could not afford, and your taxes went up because of it. Yeah, they ought to be reduced.
How we need to be afraid in this country and how we need to be scared.
And I was like, and he started talking about a certain thing we need to be scared of. And then he said, you know who I'm talking about. They come through our border. They come across our seas. They're in our government. They're infiltrating everywhere. And then he said, you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about, he said, I'm talking about the Asians. I said, what? I got a little bit nervous, and I thought, man, am I supposed to leave this speech? I don't know. I was a little nervous. He said, you know the Asians I'm talking about. I'm talking about taxation, I'm talking about regulation, and I'm talking about inflation. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about today, is taxation, regulation, and inflation. Taxation. Let me tell you something. I don't need to go any further than the Bible in order to tell you that the taxation that we have in this country, both at the federal, state, and the local level, are too high, and that they have had enough, and I have had enough, and I'm here to say that we need to stop it. The Bible says, "Thou shalt not steal." What part of that do they not understand in our government? That's right. The taxation that we have.
That's right.
When you use your agents in government in order to go to your neighbor's house, in order to take your neighbor's goods and bring them and put them into your pocket, I don't care what you call it. It may not be theft by one person. I just call that group theft. That's exactly what it is. And that's what we have in this country today, and we need to do away with it. And they're losing our liberty. They are treading all over us, and we need to stop it. Now, secondly, we've talked about taxation. Let's talk about regulation. The other Asian that we need to be afraid of is the regulation. You know that there's another thing that the Americans for Tax Reform put out. It's called the Cost of Government Day. Now, does anyone want to guess right now what the cost of government... Now, this is before the Bush and Obama tax you out of your mine plans that they've had over the last 6 months. Before that, do you know how long you had to work in the United States of America just to pay your tax burden, May 15th, and then on top of that to pay for the cost of government? That is the cost of the regulations on your life and on my life, and passed on to our children down through the generations. Do you know how long that is? Give me a guess. Give me a guess. Which day? July the 4th of every year. You are working until Independence Day every year, from January the 1st to July 4th, in order to pay the cost of government and the cost of regulation in your lives. This has to stop. You folks are doing the right thing here today by standing up and protesting. Let's talk that we need to talk about here today, and that is inflation. But today, because the Obama administration is printing money as fast as they can run those presses, you can guarantee that this is going to cause inflation in this country. Your money is sucked out of your pocket without you even knowing it. Nobody passes a bill, and when they in 1913, I believe it was 1913, when they passed the Federal Reserve Act. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Just things that our country ever did.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Private banking institution and the private banks of this country, in order to print money with abandon, in order to tax you out of your money. The federal government is the only government in this land that can do that.
They're not federal government.
We're doing it, and we need to do that right now. We have to do everything we can to oppose the Obama administration. And whenever they come to you and they say to you, when President Obama, Harry Reid, and Nancy Pelosi come to you and they say, I need more taxation, what are you going to say to them?
No!
And they say, I want more regulation, what are you going to say to them?
No!
And when they come to you and they say, I want to print more money so that I can get more inflation, what are you going to say to them?
No!
Thank you for coming out here today. You are great Americans, and I thank you for what you're doing and standing up for your country. You are great Americans, and I do applaud all of you. Thank you.